My name is Rachel Martinez and I've spent 31 years being the carless sister, in a family that measures success by what you drive and where you park it. The Martinez family wasn't wealthy, but we were comfortable enough to be obsessed with automobiles as status symbols. My father, Carlos Martinez, worked as a sales manager at a car dealership, not owning it but close enough to the automotive industry to develop strong opinions about what people should drive. My mother, Rosa, worked in real estate and believed that the car you drove to showings determined whether clients took you seriously. She drove a leased Lexus she could barely afford and parked it prominently at every listing. My younger sister, Sophia, understood the family values perfectly. At 27, she'd married Derek Chin, whose family owned a successful import-export business. They lived in a new McMansion in the suburbs, and Sophia drove a white Mercedes SUV that she photographed constantly for social media. Derek drove a BMW. Their three-car garage housed both vehicles plus a weekend car, a convertible they drove twice a year. Then there was me. I took the bus and the metro, and occasionally rode my bike. Not because I couldn't afford a car, though my family had always assumed that, but because I'd made a deliberate choice about transportation that they could never understand. After college, I took a job at the city's Public Transportation Authority. My family was horrified. Public transportation? Mom said. Rachel, that's government work. There's no money in government work. And you'll have to take the bus to work. How embarrassing. I believe in public transit, Mom. I want to help make it better. That's very idealistic, honey. But when are you going to get a real job? Buy a real car? Sophia already has her BMW. For 9 years I worked in various positions at the Transit Authority. Operations analyst, route planning manager, strategic development director. I learned every aspect of public transportation. Logistics, technology, urban planning, funding mechanisms, political navigation, and most importantly what commuters actually needed. My family saw none of this. They saw that I took the bus to work, rode the metro to family dinners, and didn't own a car at 31. By their metrics I was failing at life. Still taking the bus? Dad would ask at every family gathering the same way someone might ask if you were still unemployed. Still taking it. Rachel's commitment to public transit is admirable, Mom would tell relatives with a tight smile that conveyed pity rather than pride. Even if it's not practical for someone her age. What they didn't know, what they'd never bothered to ask, was that I wasn't just working in public transportation. I was revolutionizing it. While my family measured success by what you drove, I was building a transportation empire that would make most of their car payments look like pocket change. 5 years ago, I'd left the Transit Authority to start my own company, Skylink Transportation Solutions. The concept was simple but revolutionary. Create an integrated transportation network that combined buses, rideshare, microtransit, bike share, and aerial transportation to move people efficiently through urban areas. The aerial component was the game changer. I'd secured licenses and invested in electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft (eVTOL). Essentially, advanced helicopters and air taxis that could transport people above traffic congestion. It started small. 1 helicopter, 3 electric air taxis, operating limited routes in our city. But the technology worked, the demand was extraordinary, and we scaled rapidly. By year 2, Skylink had 12 aircraft, 40 electric buses, 200 rideshare vehicles, and partnerships with 3 major cities. By year 3, we'd expanded to 6 cities with 63 aircraft and 400 ground vehicles. By year 5, this year, Skylink Transportation Solutions employed 847 people, operated in 12 cities across 3 states, and had a fleet of 192 aircraft including helicopters, air taxis, and electric vertical flight vehicles. Our annual revenue was $340 million. The company was valued at $1.8 billion. I own 63% as founder and CEO, making my personal net worth approximately $1.13 billion. I was a billionaire. A transportation technology CEO. One of the youngest women to build a unicorn company in the logistics sector. But I still took the bus sometimes because I needed to understand the commuter experience. Still rode the metro to test our integrated ticketing systems. Still biked because it was healthy and sustainable. My family saw none of this. They saw that I didn't drive a Mercedes like Sophia, didn't have a 3-car garage, didn't post photos of luxury vehicles on social media. Still no car. Sophia would ask, her tone mixing pity with superiority. Still no car. Rachel, you're 31. It's embarrassing. What do your dates think when you show up on the bus? I don't really date people who judge me by my transportation choices. That's very high-minded, but realistically, successful men drive nice cars. They expect women who drive nice cars. You're limiting yourself. I didn't bother explaining that I'd dated several successful people who appreciated that I'd built a billion-dollar transportation company. Why waste time on people who couldn't see past surface appearances? The breaking point came 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. The text message arrived on a Sunday evening while I was reviewing our Q4 expansion plans. We were preparing to launch service in 4 new cities and add 50 aircraft to our fleet. Sophia, big announcement. Thanksgiving is at MY House this year. Derek and I are hosting. Party popper turkey. Sophia, our new house in Meadowbrook Estates is perfect for entertaining. Derek's family is coming. Mom and Dad are coming. It's going to be amazing. I started to reply with congratulations when another message came through. Sophia, Rachel, we need to talk about Thursday. My phone rang immediately. Sophia, of course. Hey Soph, congrats on hosting. Your new house is beautiful. Thanks. But Rachel, I need to discuss something sensitive about Thanksgiving. Okay. Derek's parents are going to be there. His brother and sister-in-law. They're very successful. His dad owns that import-export business. His brother is a surgeon. His sister-in-law is a corporate attorney. They drive very nice cars. His parents have matching Range Rovers. That's nice for them. The thing is, Rachel, they're also very judgmental. They care about appearances, status, success. And when Derek told them you'd be coming, his mom asked what you do for work. What did you tell her? That you work in transportation. She asked what kind of car you drive, and I had to admit you don't have one. That you take public transport. Accurate. Rachel, she looked at Derek like our family was beneath them. She said, your sister-in-law is 31 and doesn't own a car? That's quite unusual. It is unusual. I've made unconventional choices. But it reflects poorly on our family. Me. The Chens are coming to Thanksgiving expecting to meet successful, accomplished people. Having you show up, probably on the bus, probably looking like you just got off public transit, it's going to be awkward. So you're uninviting me from Thanksgiving. Not uninviting. Just suggesting that maybe you'd be more comfortable elsewhere. This is a big deal for Derek's career. His parents' opinion matters. And having a 31-year-old sister-in-law who takes the bus to Thanksgiving dinner, it doesn't project the right image. I sat back in my office chair, custom ergonomic $2,400, the kind successful CEOs buy, and looked out at the city skyline. 3 of our Skylink helicopters were visible from my window, conducting their regular routes. What does Mom think? I asked. Mom agrees with me. He said you'd understand. Dad thinks it's probably for the best too. You know how he is about cars, he's always been embarrassed that you don't drive. I see. Rachel, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. It's one Thanksgiving. We can do something together another time, just family. But this particular dinner needs to go perfectly. The Chens need to see that Derek married into a successful family. And I don't fit that image. You take the bus, Rachel. You're 31 and you take the bus. Derek's 17-year-old cousin drives a Porsche. Do you see how that looks? I looked at my computer screen where our Thanksgiving Day plans were displayed. Skylink was launching a major expansion of our aerial service on Thanksgiving morning. 15 new routes, 25 additional aircraft, live coverage from news helicopters tracking our launch. I understand completely, Sophia. Oh, thank God. I knew you'd be reasonable. You're always so understanding about these things. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. You and Rachel. Maybe use the holiday to think about finally buying a car. A nice one. It would really help you in life. After she hung up, I opened my email and checked the finalized press release. Skylink Transportation Solutions launches major expansion. Thanksgiving Day service begins in 4 new cities. CEO Rachel Martinez. Making transportation accessible, sustainable, and revolutionary. Thanksgiving morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Skylink Transportation Solutions will launch service in Dallas, Phoenix, Boston, and Miami. The expansion includes 25 new aircraft, 43 new routes, and innovative air-ground integration that allows passengers to seamlessly transition from aerial to ground transit. This expansion represents our commitment to revolutionizing urban transportation, said CEO and founder Rachel Martinez. We're proving that the future of commuting is integrated, sustainable, and accessible. Sophia's new house in Meadowbrook Estates was directly under one of our new helicopter routes. The news helicopters would be covering our launch live, circling the area to capture footage of our aircraft. I picked up my phone and texted my director of marketing. Thanksgiving morning launch. Make sure news media has our full fleet visible. I want maximum coverage of the helicopter routes, especially over the northern suburbs. Marketing director. Already arranged. 3 news helicopters confirmed. They'll be covering the launch from 9 to 11 a.m. Should be spectacular. Perfect. Over the next 3 weeks, I prepared for Skylink's Thanksgiving expansion with meticulous detail. The logistics were complex. Coordinating aircraft, training pilots, integrating ground transportation, securing regulatory approvals in 4 new cities, and managing a media campaign that would make our launch nationally visible. Our PR team secured coverage from major news outlets. CNN, local news stations in all 12 cities where we operated, business publications and transportation industry media. Everyone wanted to cover the transportation CEO who's revolutionizing urban commuting. Rachel, this is going to be huge, my marketing director said during our final planning meeting. We have news helicopters from 3 different stations covering the launch. They'll be following our aircraft, showing the integration with ground transport, interviewing passengers. This is the biggest media event Skylink has ever had. Perfect. Make sure they emphasize the founder story. Built from scratch, female CEO in a male-dominated industry, innovative technology solving real problems. Already in the talking points. The week before Thanksgiving, Forbes published a profile, Rachel Martinez, the billionaire CEO making public transportation cool again. The article detailed my background, my time at the Transit Authority, the founding of Skylink, and our explosive growth. It included photos of me with our aircraft fleet, our operations center, and a shot of me riding the metro to test our integrated systems. Ms. Martinez still regularly uses public transportation, the article noted. Not because she has to, her net worth exceeds $1.1 billion, but because she believes that to build the best transportation network, you have to experience it as a commuter. My family never saw the Forbes article. They didn't follow transportation industry news or business publications. They were too focused on Thanksgiving preparations and impressing the Chin family with their new house and their Mercedes. Thanksgiving morning arrived with perfect November weather. I woke up at 6 a.m. in my downtown loft. Modern, minimalist, worth $2.3 million but deliberately understated. I dressed casually, jeans, a Skylink company jacket, comfortable shoes. At 7 a.m. I drove to our operations center. Yes, I owned a car, a Tesla Model S that I drove occasionally for work purposes. I just didn't make it my identity. At 8 a.m. I stood in our control room watching monitors showing all 12 cities where we operated. Our aircraft were prepped, pilots were ready, ground teams were in position. At 8:45 the news helicopters took their positions. I did a final check with our director of operations. All systems green? I asked. All green, vote. We're ready to launch. At 9 a.m. I gave the order. Launch all routes. Let's make history. 192 aircraft lifted off simultaneously across 12 cities. The aerial ballet was breathtaking. Helicopters, electric air taxis, eVTOL vehicles, all moving in coordinated patterns above the traffic-clogged streets below. The news coverage was immediate and extensive. At Sophia's house in Meadowbrook Estates, Thanksgiving morning was unfolding exactly as she'd planned. The table was set beautifully. The turkey was in the oven. The Chin family had arrived at 9 a.m. looking impressive and judgmental. Sophia was playing the perfect hostess, Derek was networking with his surgeon brother, and Mom and Dad were doing their best to look sophisticated. Your home is lovely, Mrs. Chin said, surveying Sophia's new McMansion with the critical eye of someone who owned 3 properties. Thank you so much. Sophia replied. We just moved in 6 months ago. Derek picked the perfect neighborhood. And your family? Mr. Chin asked. Your sister couldn't make it today? Oh, Rachel has other plans, Sophia said vaguely, not wanting to admit she'd uninvited me. Rachel works in transportation, Mom added quickly. Very dedicated to public service. Transportation. Mrs. Chen's eyebrows rose. What kind of transportation? Public transit, Dad said, unable to hide his embarrassment. She's very committed to it. How noble, Mrs. Chen said in a tone that made noble sound like unemployed. At that moment, 9:15 a.m., a news helicopter flew low over the neighborhood. Then another. Then a third. What's all that noise? Mr. Chen asked, annoyed. Derek looked out the window. There are helicopters everywhere. Must be covering traffic for Thanksgiving. Sophia turned on the TV. She'd planned to have the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade playing in the background. Instead, every local news channel was covering breaking news. On the screen, dozens of helicopters and aircraft flying in formation over the city. Breaking news this Thanksgiving morning, the anchor announced. Transportation revolution happening live as Skylink Transportation Solutions launches its major expansion. CEO Rachel Martinez's innovative company is debuting service in 4 new cities with 25 additional aircraft joining their fleet of nearly 200 vehicles. Sophia froze. Mom's face went pale. Dad stared at the TV like it was showing something impossible. Rachel Martinez, founder and CEO of Skylink, the anchor continued, has built one of the most successful transportation technology companies in the country. The 31-year-old billionaire started her company 5 years ago and has revolutionized urban commuting through integrated air-ground transportation networks. The screen showed footage of our aircraft, helicopters, air taxis, eVTOL vehicles, all bearing the Skylink logo. Then it showed me standing in our operations center being interviewed live. Ms. Martinez, this is an extraordinary Thanksgiving morning launch. What made you choose today? Thanksgiving is about connection, I replied on screen. About bringing people together. That's what transportation does. It connects people to opportunities, to family, to their lives. We're launching today because connection matters. And you're doing this while most CEOs are celebrating with family? I smiled slightly. I am celebrating with family. My Skylink family, our pilots, our operations team, our ground crew. The 847 people who make this company work. That's family too. The camera pulled back to show the operations center, then cut to aerial footage of our fleet flying over the city, including multiple shots of aircraft flying over Meadowbrook Estates, directly above Sophia's new house. Mrs. Chen was staring at the TV. Did she say Rachel Martinez? That's Rachel, Derek said slowly, his voice hollow. Sophia's sister. The one who takes the bus. The one who takes the bus, Mr. Chen repeated, is a billionaire CEO with a fleet of 200 aircraft? Sophia had gone completely white. She was staring at the TV where my face filled the screen as I explained our expansion strategy to the news anchor. Skylink Transportation Solutions is valued at approximately $1.8 billion, the business news segment reported. Rachel Martinez owns 63%, making her personal net worth exceed $1.1 billion. At 31, she's one of the youngest self-made female billionaires in the transportation sector. Mom sat down heavily on Sophia's expensive couch. Dad couldn't seem to form words. Your sister, Mrs. Chen said slowly, turning to Sophia, the one who works in transportation and takes public transit. Is she the same Rachel Martinez on television? Yes, Sophia managed. The billionaire? Apparently. The one you didn't invite today because she'd embarrass you? Derek's face showed he'd just realized exactly how badly this had gone. Mom, we didn't know. Nobody knew. You didn't know your sister-in-law is a billionaire who owns a transportation empire? Mr. Chen's voice carried an edge. Derek, that's the kind of information families typically share. We thought she was a bus driver or something, Sophia said weakly. Mrs. Chen's expression shifted to something like disgust. You thought your sister was a bus driver, so you excluded her from Thanksgiving because you were worried she'd embarrass you in front of us? It's not. She takes the bus. She doesn't own a car. She owns 200 aircraft, Mr. Chen said flatly. I'd say that's slightly more impressive than our Range Rovers. On the TV, the coverage continued. More footage of our aircraft. Interviews with passengers praising our service. Business analysts discussing Skylink's disruption of urban transportation. Then a profile piece. Rachel Martinez, from Transit Authority to Transportation Titan. The segment showed my background, my time at the Public Transit Authority, the the founding of Skylink, photos of me testing our systems by riding public transportation. Ms. Martinez is known for her hands-on approach, the reporter said. Despite her billionaire status, she regularly rides buses and metro trains to understand the commuter experience. She lives modestly, reinvests heavily in her company, and maintains that real transportation innovation requires understanding what actual commuters need. Sophia's phone started exploding with notifications. Relatives texting, friends messaging, people who'd seen the news coverage and were making the connection. "You didn't invite Rachel to Thanksgiving?" one cousin texted. "Your sister who owns a billion-dollar company? Are you insane?" At 10:30 a.m., while Sophia's Thanksgiving was imploding under the weight of her catastrophic misjudgment, I was doing another interview, this time with CNN Business. "Ms. Martinez, your story is extraordinary. From public transit employee to billionaire transportation CEO. What drives you?" "I believe transportation is a human right," I replied. "Everyone deserves efficient, affordable, sustainable ways to get where they need to go. Cars are expensive. Purchase, insurance, maintenance, parking. Not everyone can afford them. Public transit has traditionally been underfunded and inefficient. I wanted to create something better. And you've done that while maintaining your commitment to using public transportation yourself?" "I do. I still ride buses and metros regularly. How can I build the best transportation system if I don't experience it as a commuter? The billionaire who takes the bus. That's not a gimmick. It's market research." At 11 a.m. my phone started ringing. Sophia first, then Mom, then Dad, then Derek. I ignored all of them. I was working. By noon, the news coverage had gone national. Skylink's Thanksgiving launch was trending on social media. Business News was analyzing our growth trajectory. Transportation industry publications were calling it the most significant urban transportation innovation in decades. Around 1 p.m. I finally checked my messages. "Sophia, Rachel, oh my God. Sophia, you own a billion-dollar company? Sophia, why didn't you tell us? Mom, Rachel, we're watching the news. We had no idea. Please call us. Dad, I don't understand how this happened. You take the bus. How can you own helicopters? Sophia, the Chens are horrified. Derek's mom asked why we didn't mention you own a transportation empire. We look like idiots. Sophia, or worse, like we deliberately excluded you. Which, we did, but we didn't know. Derek. Rachel, this is Derek. I apologize for our misjudgment. Would you be willing to come to Thanksgiving dinner? It's not too late. My parents would love to meet you." I read through them all and typed one response to the family group chat. "Me, enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'm spending mine with my Skylink family, the people who helped build something extraordinary while you were worried about what kind of car I drove." I muted the conversation and returned to work. The week after Thanksgiving, I met with Sophia and my parents. Not because I needed to, but because eventually families have to address their mistakes. We met at a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory. Sophia arrived looking like she hadn't slept in days. "Rachel, I'm so sorry. I excluded you from Thanksgiving because I thought you'd embarrass me, and it turns out you're more successful than everyone at that dinner combined." "I know. But why didn't you tell us? Why let us think you were just working some basic transit job?" "Because you never asked, Sophia. When was the last time you asked about my work? About my company? About what I actually do?" She was silent. "You saw that I took the bus and decided that meant I was unsuccessful. You never questioned it, never dug deeper, never showed any interest in my actual life. You just judged me by your limited understanding of what success looks like." Mom spoke up. "We should have asked. We should have been interested. Rachel, we're so sorry. The Chens have been cold to us since Thanksgiving," Dad added. "They can't believe we didn't know our daughter owns Skylink. Mr. Chen said it shows profound disconnect with our family." "He's not wrong. Derek's worried it's affecting his standing in the family business," Sophia said miserably. "His parents think he married into a family that doesn't value real achievement." "They're right. You valued what people drove, not what they built. You cared about appearances, not substance. I built a company that moves millions of people, employs nearly 1,000 people, and generates hundreds of millions in revenue. But because I took the bus, you thought I was a failure." "We were wrong," Sophia admitted. "Completely, utterly wrong. And Rachel, I need you to know, the Chens want to meet you properly. Mr. Chen's import business could potentially partner with Skylink for logistics. But that's not why I want you in my life. I want you there because you're my sister and I almost lost you over my own stupidity. Over the following months, my relationship with my family slowly rebuilt. They started asking real questions about my work. They attended a Skylink launch event and saw the scope of what I'd built. They stopped measuring success by what people drove and started understanding that transportation innovation was about so much more than cars. 6 months after Thanksgiving, Sophia came to my office, the corner suite at Skylink headquarters with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking our operations center. "This is incredible," she said, watching our control room where operators managed nearly 200 aircraft across 12 cities. "This is what I do, Sophia. This is what I've been building while you pitted me for taking the bus. I'll never live it down." Do you know Derek's family still brings it up? His mom loves telling the story of how we uninvited the billionaire CEO from Thanksgiving because she took public transportation. It is a pretty good story. "Rachel, can I ask you something? Why do you still take the bus? You could drive any car you wanted. You could have a driver. You could fly in your own helicopter every day." "Because I built Skylink to serve commuters. If I stop being a commuter, if I isolate myself in luxury vehicles and private aircraft, I'll lose touch with what people actually need. The billionaire who takes the bus isn't performance art. It's how I stay connected to the people I serve." A year after being excluded from Thanksgiving, I hosted a company celebration at Skylink headquarters. My family attended along with 847 employees, key partners and yes, the Chin family. Mr. Chin approached me during the event. "Ms. Martinez, I wanted to apologize for my family's role in last year's Thanksgiving situation. We contributed to the pressure that led to your exclusion." "You didn't know the situation, Mr. Chin." "No, but I created an environment where your family felt they needed to present a certain image. That was wrong. And I've since learned that real success, the kind you've built, often doesn't look like we expect it to." "That's very gracious of you. I'm also interested in discussing potential partnerships between my import business and your logistics operations. Your air-ground integration could revolutionize supply chain management. I'd be happy to explore that. Have your team contact mine." 2 years after that Thanksgiving, Skylink went public. Our IPO valued the company at $3.2 billion. My stake was worth approximately $2 billion. Forbes updated my profile, Rachel Martinez, the transportation billionaire who revolutionized urban commuting. The article included a photo of me boarding a Skylink bus, testing our newest route. The caption read, "Even after her net worth exceeded $2 billion, Martinez continues to ride public transportation regularly. How else would I know if we're doing our job right?" she asks. That Thanksgiving, 2 years after being excluded, we gathered at my loft. My family, my senior Skylink team and several transportation industry friends. No judgment about vehicles. No performance of wealth. Just people celebrating genuine connection. "A toast," I said, raising my glass. "To transportation that connects people. To building something meaningful. And to the reminder that success isn't measured by what you drive, it's measured by what you create." Everyone drank. Sophia pulled me aside later. "I'll never stop being embarrassed about that Thanksgiving. Excluding my billionaire sister because she took the bus. It's mortifying." "Then learn from it, Sophia. Teach your kids that real achievement isn't about status symbols. It's about building something that matters." "I will. And Rachel, I'm proud of you. Not because you're a billionaire, though that's impressive, but because you built something that actually improves people's lives. Thank you. That means more than you know. Because the truth is, I didn't build Skylink to prove my family wrong. I built it because I believed in better transportation. Because I saw people struggling with inadequate systems and wanted to create something revolutionary. Their recognition when it finally came was gratifying. But it wasn't necessary. I'd succeeded on my own terms by my own metrics, creating something that mattered. The billionaire who takes the bus. The CEO who rides the metro. The transportation revolutionary who stayed connected to commuters even as her net worth exceeded $2 billion. That was real success. Everything else was just noise.